everyone and welcome to My Consultant. Do you know that Canada's job vacancies have reached the highest record in the last 10 years and immigration seems to be the only answer? Stay tuned as we tell you how. In this episode, we will discuss how immigration can help Canada in closing the gaps in healthcare system as well as reducing the high rates of job vacancies. Then we will throw light on temporary foreign workers' rights. Next, we will disclose the most crucial news many travelers have been waiting for, the end of vaccination mandates at the borders. Last but not the least, we will give you the insight of temporary to permanent residence transition plan.
As provinces and territories look to attract more foreign-trained doctors to help address the labor shortages, the Government of Canada is now making the process easier for these doctors who wish to make Canada their new home and place of work. A number of foreign-born physicians have faced challenges in achieving permanent residence through Canada's flagship programs for skilled workers managed under the Express Entry system. The fee-for-service model used in Canada for healthcare professionals is outside of the traditional employer-employee relationship. As a result, some physicians are currently considered self-employed, leaving them unable to meet eligibility criteria of the economic pathways for permanent residency. To address this challenge, the Honourable Sean Fraser has announced the IRCC is exempting physicians who work in a fee-for-service model with public health authorities from current requirements. This change recognizes the unique employment model used in Canada's healthcare system and will provide physicians with access to Canada's economic permanent resident programs. This will mean a greater number of those physicians already here filling crucial vacancies in our healthcare sectors can remain here permanently. Those who choose to come to Canada and work in our communities play a vital role in keeping our country healthy and assuring local access to family physicians at a time when our aging population needs it the most.
Not just healthcare, every sector in Canada is facing a high number of unfilled jobs. How many times has this happened when you were visiting a grocery store or a restaurant and you noticed a now hiring signboard? Well, this is most likely because Canada's job vacancies have reached the highest record in the last 10 years. According to Statistics Canada, there are currently 44 people for every 100 vacancies. In comparison, in the year 2016, there were 113 people for every 100 vacancies. Industries like construction, manufacturing, technical service, finance, and transportation are facing a huge number of unfilled jobs. Vacancies in Ontario have increased by 42% compared to last year, which means there are nearly 1 million jobs that need to be filled across all sectors. Job vacancies have increased in 6 provinces. Ontario is seeing the largest increase with a total of 379,700 vacancies. Nova Scotia has also experienced a rise of 6%. British Columbia, Manitoba, and Alberta have seen the rises between 5.6% and 2.4%. As per RBC experts, aging population, sector shakeups, and pent-up demand are one of the main contributors to the surging vacancies. In order to solve this problem, Canada must look to immigration as one method to add to the country's workforce. The government is already planning to invite its largest ever number of prospective permanent residents. The target till 2024 is to grant permanent residence to at least 450,000 people.
Canada prides itself as being a safe, welcoming ground for some of the world's most vulnerable. Because of this, the Government of Canada has recently released a reminder that all temporary foreign workers have the same rights and protections as Canadian citizens and permanent residents. In Canada, by law, your employer must give you the following: information about your rights, a signed copy of your employment agreement before you apply for your work permit, pay you for your work as stated in your employment agreement. This includes overtime if it is included in your agreement. Provide you with a workplace free of abuse. This includes reprisals, which means they cannot punish you for reporting mistreatment or unsafe work. Your employer must follow the employment and recruitment standards of the province or territory where you work and must help you access healthcare services. If you are hurt or become sick at work, tell your supervisor as soon as possible and get medical attention. Please know, you do not need your employer's permission to seek health care. Your employer must allow you access to a health care provider like a doctor or a pharmacist. As well, your employer must allow a phone available to call emergency services and give you time off to seek medical attention. Also, they must give you information on how to get health care and help you get to the healthcare provider. Your employer does not have to pay for you to get to a hospital, clinic, doctor, or any other healthcare service, but you do have the right to speak privately with your healthcare provider without your employer. Your employer cannot force you to do work that is dangerous, and they cannot refuse to pay you for your work. Your employer must look into any danger that is reported at work. You have the right to refuse to do work until you and your employer agree that the danger has been removed. You receive the proper equipment and training, and the problem no longer exists. Your employer cannot take your passport or your work permit away from you, deport you from Canada, change your immigration status, or make you pay back any recruitment fees they may have paid to hire you. Now, this was just a brief look into some of the legal rights and protections for foreign temporary workers. Please visit canada.ca for more on your workers' rights.
Traveling to Canada will now be a lot easier. Starting October 1st, Canada is lifting its vaccination mandates at the borders. The federal government has announced that it is ending all COVID-19 border restrictions, including COVID-19 vaccination, quarantine, and isolation requirements, as well as pre- and on-arrival COVID-19 testing. The government is also making the ArriveCan app optional and is lifting the mask mandates and health check requirements for the travelers on planes and trains. Deciding to allow the elimination of travel mandates and quarantine requirements means all travelers, regardless of citizenship, will no longer have to submit public health information through the ArriveCan app or website. Foreign nationals will not have to provide proof of vaccination to enter the country. Unvaccinated Canadians will no longer have to isolate when they return. Travelers will not have to monitor or report if they develop COVID-19 symptoms upon arrival. It will no longer be mandatory to wear a face mask while traveling on planes or trains. Travelers will not have to undergo pre- or on-arrival testing. Incoming travelers to major airports won't be subject to random mandatory COVID-19 tests. This will not only help in saving the efforts and time of the travelers, but their money as well, as a molecular test can cost anywhere between $100 to $250. Quarantine for 14 days can cost anywhere between $1,000 to $2,000. All these expenses have kept so many travelers from traveling to Canada for more than a year. Now, since all these costs have been lifted, it will now become way more cheaper and convenient, especially for immigrants and international students. Also, there is no isolation, which means whenever you're back to country, you can straight away head to your destination. Over the summer, many travelers have shared that how much frustrated they were by the extra burden of uploading their proof of vaccination, their quarantine plans, and their travel details into the mandatory ArriveCan app. Now, the new travel guidelines have come as a huge relief to them. According to officials, while Canada is lifting its mask mandates, Travelers are still strongly recommended to wear a high quality and well-fitted mask and make informed decisions. COVID-19 still remain one of the most communicable diseases under Quarantine Act. Travelers who feel sick upon arrival are requested to either inform staff members or border service officers. Declaring the end to these restrictions have marked a major milestone in Canada's pandemic response. This is an opportunity for Canadians to returning to normal travel that connects families, workers, and communities.
Temporary foreign workers and international students play an important role in Canada's economy. That is why the Government of Canada aims to enable greater pathways to permanent residency. Canada is currently facing a historic labor shortage across a number of sectors. Healthcare, hospitality, and IT sectors have been particularly hit hard since the COVID-19 pandemic. Canada's objective is to strengthen the connection between the labor market and our immigration programs to ensure the Canadian economy has a broad range of skills needed across all different sectors, focusing on helping individuals transition from temporary to permanent residence by expanding or adjusting the existing pathways for foreign nationals who are working in Canada and seeking to stay. This includes international student graduates. To meet this goal, it will require applying the right immigration tools to strike a balance between addressing the immediate needs of Canadian employers and meeting medium to long-term economic goals, while also being mindful of protecting vulnerable workers and ensuring opportunities for domestic workers. Through this strategy, the government will use a 5-pillar approach to achieve its objectives. Let's take a quick look at what these 5 pillars are. Pillar 1. Going off of the 2022-2024 Immigration Levels Plan to provide Canada with a larger permanent labor supply. This plan increases the opportunities for more temporary workers to transition to permanent residence to help address labor market shortages and fuel our post-pandemic economic growth. Pillar 2. Aims to reform the express entry system by increasing flexibility in immigration selecting tools under express entry through recent changes to the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. These changes will allow the minister to respond to labor market needs and regional economic priorities, as well as increase francophone immigration by selecting more candidates with specific attributes such as in-Canada experience. These changes and more will form the foundation for the next version of the Express Entry that will include more opportunities to transition to permanent residence for all workers of all skill levels. Pillar 3. This pillar involves making improvements to permanent economic immigration programs to help transition from temporary to permanent residence of essential workers in high-demand occupations. This includes adopting the latest version of the National Occupational Classification, the NOC 2021, which expands eligibility to certain in-demand occupations within a number of permanent economic immigration pathways. Improving newcomers' access to information to ensure they meet the necessary qualifications, and connecting them to federal, provincial, or territorial programming. Exploring better ways to transition essential workers who are in high demand, such as removing barriers for physicians. Introducing improvements to pilot programs to support transitions to permanent residence for those working in in-home caregiving occupations, as well as agri-food sectors. Now, Pillar 4. Pillar 4 aims to support communities in attracting and retaining newcomers, including through francophone immigration. The government supports francophone minority communities outside of Quebec through measures aimed at meeting the 4.4% French-speaking immigration target by 2023. In addition, a new municipal nominee program is being developed to help municipalities attract and retain newcomers to address their local labor needs. Lastly, through Pillar 5, the government is increasing processing capacity, improving client experience, and modernizing the immigration system through technical immigration improvements. These initiatives are focused on ensuring newcomers are welcomed to Canada as permanent residents as soon as possible. These 5 pillars will complement the existing provincial and territorial tools through a more tactical and targeted approach that will allow them to independently select candidates to meet their specific regional needs across all skill levels. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to this week's episode of My Consultant. Click the bell icon to subscribe to the My Consultant YouTube channel. For more information on the topics covered in this week's episode, please visit myconsultant.ca, where you can contact an authorized immigration and citizenship consultant. I'm Tina Thompson.
I am Tina Batra,
And we look forward to
see
seeing
you
you next week.
week.
Take care.